Hey guys, welcome on into the Josh Reese Show. I am the face of Houston sports. And today we're going to be talking about the Houston Rockets season in total. No, we are not going to be talking about the Houston Rockets Game 6 epic loss to the San Antonio Spurs. We're going to be talking about the Houston Rockets season that was. And it came out of nowhere and it really took the NBA by storm. We're going to talk about that. Maybe a little bit more happier times for you as a listener. A watcher, a listener, a person, whatever. But before we get into that, I would like to tell you guys about my friends at Countryside Massage. They're here in Conroe, Texas. They do really great work. Please give them a like on their Facebook page. Look for them below. Please. They are a small business, and they do really good work. And they would appreciate the support from you. I support them. They support me. It's a big ol' happy family here at the Countryside Massage. But let's get into today's topic, and that is the season that was the Houston Rockets. And it all started in the offseason when the Rockets made it clear they were not going to retain J.B. Bickerstaff. He was gonzo. So you were left with a coaching search, and so many names were thrown about. You had Dave Yager. You had, I can't remember the guy that went to the Knicks. His name eludes me for some reason. He was the old Suns coach. He was a candidate for a while. Kenny Smith was a candidate for some reason. Jeff Van Gundy was a candidate. And then out of nowhere, Mike D'Antoni was a candidate. And then he ended up being hired. It was like, what the hell? How the hell did Mike D'Antoni get to be a candidate? He hasn't been a coach for 2 years. And when he was a coach, he was an associate coach with the Philadelphia 76ers. The NBA has passed Mike D'Antoni by. Well, Daryl Morey and Les Alexander said, shut the fuck up! And they hired Mike D'Antoni anyways because they know better than anyone else. And I will give it to them. No one saw this as a right move, but they stuck to their guns, and it ended up paying off for them dividends. Now, accompanying Mike D'Antoni was also Jeff Bzdelik, who ended up being a very good linchpin to that 1-2 of the offense and defense between the two. Bzdelik would handle the defensive job, and D'Antoni would handle the offensive job. And it worked pretty good for the whole season. They'd have their ups and downs, of course. The Rockets, I mean, with defense and offense. But overall, you never really heard anything negative about that dynamic. It was always positive. And you could always tell that during games, on the defensive end, you would see guys look towards Bzdelik, and on the offensive end, you would see guys look towards D'Antoni. There was no cross-matching. You would not see guys going to D'Antoni for defense and vice versa. But following D'Antoni and Bzdelik, they also made the moves to bring in Ryan Anderson. They brought in Nene, and they brought in Eric Gordon, and they also at that time extended James Harden. So it was a good offseason. The Rockets got everything they wanted. I know they set their sights on Al Horford and the guy that went and Kent Bazemore. I don't know why I was stumbling on his name. Kent Bazemore and Al Horford were the guys that the Rockets targeted, but they ended up going with Anderson and Gordon, and I think it kind of fit them better. Had they had got Bazemore and Horford, things might have turned out differently. Maybe for the worse, maybe for the better, probably for the worse. So they got guys that fit their system, and it was pretty good overall. The Rockets spent a lot of time working out in the offseason, and they had a couple, not summer camps, but they had a couple like team bonding times together. I don't know why that sounded so strange, but it just did. So right before the start of the season, the Rockets shipped off Michael Beasley for Tyler Ennis, and I myself lost my mind. I thought that Michael Beasley was going to be a linchpin in the season. I thought he was going to be a good cog, and maybe if you had Michael Beasley, things might have turned out a little bit differently. Maybe you had more scoring. Who knows? But for whatever reason, the Rockets wanted more ball handling because Patrick Beverley was going to start the season injured. So they ended up bringing Tyler Ennis. They cut Pablo Prigioni, who was on the team. I would have liked to see Pablo Prigioni play on the team, but I digress. So the Rockets started the season, and it was kind of a little bit of a hit and miss. They started 6-5. In their first 11 games, what was it? They have finished 107.4 points a game and gave up 104.8 points a game. They also faced the Mavs twice. They faced the Spurs twice. They faced the Cavs. It was a rough stretch, not to mention they played a lot of games on the road. So it took the Rockets a while to get going. But they really started to get going once Patrick Beverley got back and everything started to settle down. Because then you could move Corey Brewer and Eric Gordon, who were starting in place of Patrick Beverley. You could move them back to the bench. And it just got... The whole unit got a lot deeper once Patrick Beverley returned to the starting lineup. And I want to point out this stat for you. Once Patrick Beverley got back, the Rockets would end up... Before Patrick Beverley, the Rockets won 56% of their games. And after Patrick Beverley came back, they won 69% of their games. Not only that, the offense also picked up too. Before Patrick Beverley, they scored 107 points a game pretty much. And after Patrick Beverley came back, they scored 116 points a game. So while Patrick Beverley might not be all of that, he also just helped so much. You could tell that there was a lot of stuff that Patrick Beverley brought to the starting unit that Gordon Brewer just couldn't do. So the Rockets started rocking and rolling once he came back. They had that hot December where I think they only lost 2 games and really just kind of took the NBA by storm. I think that December is when the Rockets really started to make a name for themselves. You could see them hinting seeds at it before then with the win over the Spurs. And they also had a couple good wins before December started. But that December really cemented the Rockets in the upper echelon of the NBA. And it really started to make people notice about the Houston Rockets. But aside from Patrick Beverley coming back, there's really a couple other parts in the NBA season for the Houston Rockets I thought were big pieces to the season. And that was also, one of the other parts was Clint Capella's injury. Now, when Clint Capella went down, he was starting to play some really good basketball, but he went down in the Timberwolves game, and then after that, I was like, oh, Jesus, how are we going to fill Clint Capella's role? We've got unproven Montrezl Harrell, and we've got 65-year-old Nene. What the hell are we going to do now? And the Rockets weathered that storm pretty well. Montrezl Harrell played very good in place of Clint Capella. Nene, for some reason, started playing like he was 27 again. It was really good, and the Rockets really weathered that fairly well. It was part of that December run for the Houston Rockets, too. And it really helped cement the Rockets, like I mentioned earlier. But during all this time, before the season and the offseason, and even during this crazy December run with the Houston Rockets, they had to deal with Donatas Motiejunas and that whole weird saga. And will he sign? Will he not sign? Oh, he signed with the Nets, but now the Rockets matched, and now the Rockets don't want him anymore. And at the end of December, he ended up on the Pelicans for $1 million. Very, very, very strange circumstances. Something you're not going to see very often in the NBA. And as I am recording this right now, it looks like Donatas Motiejunas is actually suing the Houston Rockets for a contract breach. Will this saga ever end? But kudos to the Rockets for playing very well while he was gone, because maybe the Rockets might have not thought this way, but a lot of people in the media and a lot of people locally here in Houston thought that Motiejunas was going to be a big part of the Rockets, and once he came back, the Rockets were going to get bigger. They were going to start rebounding for some reason, even though Donatas Motiejunas is a rebounder. They were going to start playing defense. The offense was going to get even better once he came back. And they never really got that big ever again. But Motiejunas never came back. And despite all that weird drama, Patrick Beverley saying, I'm best friends with Demo, and I've got Demo's back, and all that stuff, even though, it's... the NBA is a business, all this stuff with the players, never really messed with them. even though they're answering questions about it all the time. I know myself was asking questions about it all the time. Hey, what do y'all guys think about Demo? What the hell's going on with the situation? What have y'all heard? Pat, I know you're really close with Demo. Have you talked to him lately? I know it probably didn't help, but for some reason they were able to plow through, and that wasn't a distraction. While we might have thought on the outside it was a distraction, on the inside, maybe it wasn't a distraction so much. But after that, the Rockets got to the AllStar break. They were doing pretty well. And right afterwards, they made that trade for Lou Williams. Shocked the NBA. Lou Williams available for a first-round pick and Corey Brewer? What? That's bananas! Corey Brewer has been horrible for the Houston Rockets this year. He was bad last year as well. But now you're going to trade Corey Brewer and a really, really low first-round pick, or low first-round pick. I like that better. A low first-round pick for Lou Williams, who's a potential sixth man of the year, scoring all these points for the Lakers. You're going to inject him into the Rockets offense. It's only going to go it's going to get bananas. The Rockets are going to go on fire. And it was that way for about 3 games where Lou Williams averaged like 23 points a game, maybe a little bit more. And then after that, he went downhill. I think the next 11 games after that, Lou Williams scored about an average 11 points, and he'd had this up and down season with the Houston Rockets, never really catched any steam. So it was still a good trade and a good gamble for Daryl Morey to make the move for Lou Williams. It didn't really work out, but you didn't really give up that much. You gave up a piece that you really did not need. You traded the appendix and a deck of cards for Lou Williams. First round pick that low, it might turn into something. Probably not. It's probably not going to be anything. So, good move by Daryl Morey. It's something anyone else would have made. No one could have predicted that Lou Williams was going to get outplayed by Corey Brewer through the last half of the season. No one saw that coming. And to the fact that Williams is under contract for another year for the Houston Rockets, so he's going to be potentially a part of their plans for next season as well. So, Rockets finished up the season, and they ended the season kind of like on a weird stretch because they started having all these weird injuries. James Harden had a wrist thing, then he had an ankle thing, kind of weird. And Ryan Anderson had the flu. He was struggling as well. Guys just never really seemed very. They never seemed there towards the end of the season, and it kind of affected them once they played the Oklahoma City Thunder and they played the Spurs. Really, really close games against the Thunder, and the Rockets had that one blowout game in Game 1, but aside from that, there were close games the rest of the way. And then against the Spurs, they had that one game where they blew out the Spurs, and then that was pretty much about it. And you saw the Rockets that were very inconsistent towards the tail end of the season. You never saw the December Rockets again, and that's pretty much why the Rockets were not a very, very good team towards the end of the year. For whatever reason, they were not able to keep that same magic that they had in December and carried over for the rest of the season. In December, it seemed like such a different team than you saw the rest of the year. The guys were moving all over the floor. They were playing really solid defense. They were gritting and grinding while they were scoring 116 points a game. It was really, really good basketball. And next season, I think the Rockets are going to need to try to figure out how they can get those December Rockets for an entire season. Because those December Rockets are the team that will give the Golden State Warriors trouble, that will give the Cavs trouble. And you saw them every now and then after December, but you never saw it consistently, and that's why the Rockets did not play well very much. They just were not a consistent team after that. Maybe it was injuries, maybe it was shooting struggles, who knows, but for whatever reason, you never saw them again, and the Rockets looked like poo pretty much after the All-Star break. But that's pretty much all I got, guys. I appreciate you for giving this a watch. Please leave in the comments below what you thought about the Rockets season overall. If you were to grade it on a scale like A, B, C, and D, how would you grade the Rockets season? I think I would give them a solid B plus. An A plus season, of course, is winning the championship. But I think they had a solid B plus. They hit a double, and you hit enough doubles, eventually you're going to break through and score a run. Mixing metaphors here. That's pretty much all I got here. I appreciate you guys for giving this a watch. Please follow my friends at Countryside Massage. You can find them in the link below. I'm going to bounce it out of here, guys, and I appreciate you for giving this a watch. I will catch y'all later and next time. We're out.